Ahoy there, we are jumping right into 2.3, which is solving inequalities using multiplication and division. Here's the thing. This is almost the same as solving equations. However, there's a huge difference when you're multiplying or dividing by a negative number. Everything gets thrown out the door. So let's go through. If you want to pause this screen, you can. Basically, this is just saying what we're going to go through. No new vocabulary here. Let's jump right into it, shall we? All right, so here's some big notes if you're a note taker. The main thing is to realize that anytime you multiply or divide by a positive number on each side of an inequality, it's just like if you have an equation. So there's some notes if you want to write them down, but basically if you multiply each side by 2, that's cool. Multiply each side by 10, that's cool. Divide each side by the same number, that's all good. As long as the number's positive, everything's all good. It's all fine and happy. Let's do an example of that, shall we? Again, if you want to pause the screen, take some notes, go for it. So if we're going to solve x divided by 8 is greater than negative 5, what is a good first step to get x by itself? Okay, clicking. There we go. So yeah, you want to multiply each side by 8. That'll get rid of the 8 over here, and you'll just have x is greater than negative 40. So if you're going to graph that, would that be an open or closed circle? Yes, it would be open, because x cannot equal negative 40. It can only be bigger than. Will the arrow go to the right or to the left? Yes, the arrow would go to the right because it's anything bigger than negative 40. So open circle at negative 40, arrow going to the right. Yay, done. Okay, let's try the second one. Negative 24 is greater than or equal to 3x. What's a good first step to solve this to get rid of the 3? Yeah, you want to divide each side by 3. Now, again, we're dividing by a positive number, so it's all good. You just divide. And negative 24 divided by 3 is negative 8. The sign still stays the same as greater than or equal to x, which means that, careful when you write this down, x is smaller than or equal to negative 8 if you're going to rewrite it where the x is first. Okay, would you have an open or closed circle to graph that one? Yes, it would be a closed circle because it can include negative 8. And would the arrow be going to the left or to the right? The arrow would be going to the left because it's anything smaller than or equal to negative 8. So closed circle on negative 8 goes to the right. Woo, left. Woo, okay. This is where things fall apart now. Sorry about this. When you multiply or divide by a negative number, it is crucial that you then switch the sign around, the little alligator. So anytime you multiply or divide by a negative number, the alligator's got to switch around. There's many reasons why. If you want me to go through it with you in class, I'll be happy to. But the main thing is, if you're doing the opposite by multiplying or dividing by a negative, it makes the sign go opposite. So the alligator switches around. Super important. This would be worth writing down some notes on these. Okay, so I would just jot down multiplication division properties of inequalities for negative numbers, and then, put these examples down. It's all good. All right, now let's jump into it. Here we go. So if you're going to solve 2 is less than y divided by negative 3, what is a good, whoa, look at that. What is a good first step to solve this problem? Yeah, you want to multiply by negative 3. Here's the thing, though. When you multiply by negative 3, this sign switches. Whoop! So you got to use the multiplication property of inequality. So if you multiply by a negative, you got to switch the alligator around or it's going to be wrong. Okay, so now you get negative 6 is greater than y. Everything else from here on out is the same. So remember, if you're going to rewrite the y first, y is less than negative 6 if you're switching them around. So would this be an open or closed circle? Yes, it would be an open circle. Would the arrow go to the right or to the left? The arrow would go to the left because it's anything smaller than negative 6. So open circle on negative 6, and there it goes to the left. Okay, we got this one more example here. Negative 7y is less than or equal to negative 35. To solve this, what is a good first step? Yes, you will need to divide by negative 7. And because you're dividing by a negative, you must turn the alligator around. Don't forget to do that. That's the big difference today, is if you divide or multiply by negative, the alligator got to switch around. Okay, so now we get 7y. Woo! 7y, or negative 7y divided by negative 7 is y, and then negative 35 divided by negative 7 is 5, and we got y is greater than or equal to 5. Would that be an open circle or a closed circle? Yes, it would be closed. And would the arrow be going to the left or to the right? The arrow would be going to the right because it's anything bigger than or equal to 5. Okay, now you will also have a couple of story problems in here. I'm going to put this one up here real quick. So you earn $9.50 per hour at your summer job. Write and solve an inequality that represents the number of hours you need to work to buy a digital camera that costs $247. That's so weird because I just bought a digital video camera. It was like $50. Cameras have gone so... Anyway. All right, so which of the following inequalities would match this situation? All right, so anytime you're doing a story problem, again, make sure you understand the problem, come up with a plan. A good way to do this is to turn the words into an inequality. So your hourly wage, which is $9.50. Hours worked, which is what we're talking about. We'll use N or X or whatever letter they're saying N, so we'll use N. And then the cost of the camera is $247. So there is our inequality. 9.5 N is greater than or equal to 247. And then how many hours would you have to work to be able to afford this camera? All right, so hopefully you divided each side by 9.5, and you get 26 hours. So you have to work at least 26 hours to be able to buy the $247 camera. All right, so that's it. This is the same as solving equations, except the huge big difference. If you multiply or divide by a negative, you got to flip the alligator sign around. That's the big difference. Don't forget that part. All right, as you're working, if you have questions, let me know. Good luck. Arr!